Let me show you how I created this wedding backdrop that is 7 foot by 6 foot on a budget. We plan on having this at the reception as just a way for people to take photos in front of on their iPhone or a Polaroid camera that we're going to bring, as well as disposable cameras. So I started by going to Lowe's and trying to find the materials. At first, I thought I was going to set it up with a board, so I was pricing those out and trying to figure out how I would attach the foam to the board. Ultimately, this was so hard to get in my car because they only come in 8x4 dimensions. So I had to do some math. I knew we were going to have to tape them together no matter what to get the measurements that I wanted. And if you did this with wood, it might be easier. But logistically, we have to travel with this to the venue and we don't have a truck. So we had to make it as accessible to be able to move as possible. Again, I started by cutting a foot off of each board because after I did all of the math, it made more sense to have 2 boards, each of them being 3 foot by 3.5 foot, equaling to our 6 by 7 foot boards. Then I went ahead and painted the seam after taping them together black. Now, if I could do this again, I would paint this whole thing black. Also, the boards being taped together on the backside allows us to fold this in half, which makes transporting it much easier. The benefit of this being 7 foot by 6 foot is that 252 4x6 photos fit on this perfectly. So that's what I did. I ordered 252 unique photos of me and my significant other, although I have seen people do duplicates like from their engagement session, and I think those look so great. We just have had a lot of photo shoots over the 4 years we've been together. I think we have had 6 in total, our engagement shoot being one of them. I added the first photo we ever took together, our trip to Montana, our trip to Michigan, all kinds of photos over the years of different memories, and I kind of framed it out in a U shape because people kind of read left to right, but I also wanted the photos that I wanted people to see the most to be at eye level. I don't suggest mapping every single photo out because that is going to drive you crazy. There's way too many photos to do that. I also tried to do the best variation I could when it came to like really dark photos being next to really light photos. Highly recommend using double-sided tape. This was the best. I put one on all 4 corners and that was the best for them to stick and stay and lay flat. Make sure your edges in that very first photo are very specifically where you want them or you will run into trouble later. Of course, I didn't know that going into this, and I wouldn't have known it going into this if there was a video like this available on the internet, but there was not. So doing the Lord's work, bringing this to you. Double-sided tape helps you to easily remove them after placing them if you place it a little bit wrong, but also adheres really well. It's like the perfect in-between of not permanent, but you're not worried about it falling off. You also want to make sure the line of where you're doing the photos is perfectly where a photo ends, so when you fold the board, none of the photos get messed up, which happened to be perfect for me. This was a really fun DIY. Honestly, I mean, 2 people probably could have done it, but I just watched Gilmore Girls and did it over the course of like 3 days. I know what you're thinking, that 252 photos probably cost a lot of money, and it did, but there was an amazing discount code on Walgreens, which is why I ended up going with 4x6s instead of 5x7s. With the discount they were running on Walgreens, I got $129 off. If you order over 100 photos, it takes them from being 59 cents a piece to 49 cents a piece, I think, or maybe 29. It was really affordable. So we only paid $43 to print all these photos out. And you're probably wondering, if you're really good at math, why I didn't do 9 24 by 36 posters, collages of all these photos, because it would have been less work. Well, that was a lot more expensive even with the discount. It came to $115. So this was the most price-conscious way. Yes, I did the work. Then I ordered grommets, poked holes not too close to the edge, and then I used ribbon to hang it up. From there, I just strung the ribbon through and then brought in my frame. This is from Amazon. I'll make sure it's underneath my wedding decor, but for now I think it's underneath like filming setup because I used it for my backdrop. It's gold, but we're going to spray paint it black, but I wanted to make sure that this stood up just fine on its own before doing all that work. I cut the ribbon evenly, and I think the poster boards were $14 a piece. So if you factor in the $43 for the photos, the $8 for the grommets, and then also the $30 it was for the 2 foam boards. I already had the tape on hand and I already had this hanger on hand. It was still less than $100 for me to do this project, and I think that was totally worth it based on the fact that it's a very intentional, it has a purpose, it's very large, we're able to transport it, and we're able to reuse it. But you're also probably thinking at this moment in time, Daisy, if it's hanging, how are you going to keep it from folding in half when you finally get it hung up at the venue? don't worry, I thought about that too. I needed a solution that was easy to transport to the venue so that this folded to the venue, but also it wasn't permanent so that we could take it down and take it back from the venue. So I got this really affordable, it's 97 cents from Walmart. It's just a wooden dowel in the craft section. And what I did was pull the board flat and tape this dowel to both sides as tight as I could tape it. It's easily removable, but it doesn't fall off because this isn't that heavy. So it allowed me the opportunity to continue to adjust this if it needs to be folded, but while it's hanging up, it stays flat and straight. To me, this was worth it. It took me, again, about 3 days. I think that you could get it done quicker if you had help. So you could probably do this about a month to 3 weeks out from your wedding. The soonest I would cut it is that close. But I love it. It's intentional. It looks really great. It worked out. The logistics in my mind worked out. And I will definitely show you guys the finished product once this is spray painted. We're playing around with the idea of adding bows, a neon sign, or even a woodcut of our last name. This is the photo of it completed, and I will continue to share updates.